So yeah, the doors are open to the EOcafe. Everyone's coming in. Good to see you all again. Thanks for joining us. So, oh, you've still got some in the waiting room, Natasha.
Yes, they're entering slowly.
Okay. All right. I'll get on with my job and leave you to yours. So welcome everybody. Firstly, EOcafe. I think people are now pretty familiar with the rules, but please feel free to leave your cameras on. It's always nice to see you, but please turn your microphones off. And if you put questions in the chat, if we take the questions, then I'll invite you to pose it yourself. So the session is being recorded. So why have we still got people in the waiting room? Anyway, the webinar will be recorded. So there we go. So hopefully you've all got your coffee. I've got my tea, and we'll get started. So last May, I think it was, we invited ECMWF to the EOcafe to talk about the Copernicus services, and we had Richard Englin and Carlo Buontempo talking respectively about the Atmosphere Monitoring Service and the Copernicus Climate Change Service. So that was good. We had a good discussion. The recording is available. So today I'm pleased to again welcome ECMWF, but to talk more about the other activities of ECMWF and less about the Copernicus services. Of course, if there are questions about the Copernicus services, I'm sure Stein or Atina will be more than happy to try to answer them, but that's not the goal today. So the goal is to talk a little bit more about ECMWF and a particular activity that they're launching called Code for Earth and the Code for Earth Challenge. So as you will have gathered, I'm very pleased to be joined by Stein Vermont from the who is in a relatively new role as head of user outreach and engagement, and Atina Trakas, who is also relatively new to ECMWF and is in charge of the Code for Earth Challenge, and she'll be telling us all about it. Now, many of you may know Atina from her previous role, which has just changed. So previously she was with OGC. And so as the first thing I normally do is to ask guests just to say a few words about themselves, to introduce themselves, and to, rather than the organizations, but just to know them better. So maybe I'll turn first to Atina and ask just to explain how she's ended up at ECMWF from OGC and what you're doing, Atina.
Yeah, hey everyone, thanks Geoff. Yeah, it's great to be here now on the other side of the EOcafe as a speaker. Well, and as I said, probably a lot of people know me from my job at OGC. And yeah, I have been for several months on a sabbatical. And then I heard about Code for Earth. So actually I had conversations with colleagues here at ECMWF in Bonn. So in parentheses, thanks to Brexit, we have a ECMWF office in Bonn. And
a benefit of Brexit. That's the first one I've heard.
Well, and I heard about Code for Earth, and I was really intrigued by the opportunity to get engaged in the program, because I thought my skills in networking and connecting people and listening, you know, working with the community and broaden the community, that would fit very nicely. And well, in Germany we say the rest is history. So, yeah, I not ended up, but I got a new job here with ECMWF. I'm very happy. It has been a challenging 2 months, but I really enjoyed it. Very, very nice.
Okay, the rest is history. Yeah, there's a very successful podcast, The Rest is History, along with The Rest is Politics, which I very much enjoy listening to. And it's another first because we have our two guests sitting side by side in the same room behind the same camera. So that's another first for the EOcafe. So now, so be ask Stijn just to. There's also a relatively new post at ECMWF, but some people will know Stijn also from previous roles. So just a little bit about your background, Stijn.
Yes, good afternoon all. Indeed, my name is Stijn Vermoten. I'm the head of user outreach and engagement. I worked for quite a long time now at ECMWF, but in a different capacity. And this user outreach engagement is quite new. Since 2020, we decided that it's better to merge all these capacities and to make sure that we serve our user communities in a better way by combining what we do for our member states, also for ECMWF's member states, and what we do for Copernicus, and what we now, since also last year, also do for Destination Earth. So it's integrating all these activities on user engagement, which includes also training, which includes liaison activities, which includes partnerships in one single section. And it's a very nice activity. As a background, I'm an environmental engineer. I'm from Belgium. I worked 7 years in the private sector. So originally I'm coming from the private sector, but after this I worked 7 years at the European Commission. So first at HRTD, my background is more in environment and climate change, but then I started to work since 2010 in GMES, which then turned into Copernicus, as you all know. And then I moved in 2015 to Reading, to England, to the nice Thames Valley. And since recently I moved to Bonn, next to the Rhine. So I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to contribute to this discussion. Yeah, and I look forward to see the interest in ECMWF and Code for Earth.
Yeah, thanks very much. So ECMWF, so we had a presentation regarding the role in the Copernicus services, but ECMWF is the original goal. It's a research institute and indeed an operational service, 24/7 operational service. It's qualified as an independent intergovernmental organization and has 34 states which in part of its members and part of the governance. Of course, the operational role is about disseminating numerical weather predictions, and the data is driven by the meteorological services in each of the countries, who are normally the interlocutors with ECMWF. I think you were formed in 1975, and according to your website, you now have 300 staff and more than 30 countries. You're also one of the 6 these coordinated organizations, and maybe you can just tell us a little bit more about that later on. Yeah. It's something I came across in the CEMS case and never really uncovered exactly what benefits that gives you, or obligations that come with it. But that's with NATO, with ESA, with OECD, with EUMETSAT. So quite a respected company in this group of 6. You mentioned Bonn and Reading. You have there's also the site in Bologna, but the move from Reading to Bonn, as you said, in some way was triggered by Brexit. It's not a subject we should get onto today, I think, but it could take a long time. But now you're well settled in Bonn, I think, and the Copernicus activities are run from Bonn. So without further ado, let me pass over to you to explain a little bit. As I say, we want to today learn a little bit more about ECMWF. I neglected to say that we have a lot of people joining the EOcafe who are sort of on the fringe of the sector or new in the sector. So one of the things that we found it's useful to do is to try to help them understand the whole sort of way the sector's organized, who the different players are, particularly on the institutional side, because you know, it is, as we all know, very, very complex. So we hope to shed some light on that and help people understand what's going on. So let's start with Stijn. Please tell us a little bit more about ECMWF and what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. I hope you can see my slides.
We see them, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
There.
So, indeed, so
No, you've got the. I think you've got the wrong screen, Stijn. We're seeing the presenter view.
okay, let me. How do I do this?
You need to change windows, I think. I think there are lots of shortcuts doing this, but I don't know them.
No, this is good. Next one.
There's also swap displays on the top of your screen now.
Yeah. So you've got a
Swap.
yeah. The top of the screen, you've got two arrows pointing.
Yeah, no, I don't see the same screen because I have it in full screen. So, let me go back.
Maybe Alt Tab to change windows. Does that work? If not, we'll manage with the presenter view. It would be.
Yeah, let me now escape. Let me see if it's.
We just see you at the moment.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I'll try to share it again. Let's see if it works now.
That's the classic PowerPoint view.
Yeah,
that will work.
Button, and then I hope it will work. No, it's still the same.
Back to presenter view. Yeah. The previous screen is better if you can.
Okay, let me go back now.
Yeah.
Yeah, bigger. Can you see it? Well,
Yeah, we see it in PowerPoint view, but I think that's
all right.
that's
Okay.
fine.
So indeed, ECMWF is an international organization like ESA, EUMETSAT, and we have 34 member and collaborating states. We're not part of the EU, so that's clear. So we have been founded in Reading, in England. It was Prince Charles at that time who opened our offices, now King Charles. And it was mainly linked to the fact that the UK, and mainly thanks to the UK Met Office, had such a rich tradition in meteorological forecast. They had a site in Reading which was focused on training and capacity building. Their offices was in Bracknell. Afterwards, they moved to Exeter, and we stayed in that site. So the connection with England has always been strong, but of course also with other countries. And something worth mentioning is that, for example, Turkey was one of our founding nations, and we also see with the devastating impacts of the earthquakes now, we really try to our best to serve them as good as possible as a member state. So that's something also which not a lot of people know, that we have Turkey. And in terms of collaborating states, we have also countries like Morocco or Israel, who are also a cooperating state, and which you could say not per se see as European countries. Our DNA, our true DNA, is really numerical weather forecast. Yeah. And we have been initiated back in '75 because at that time there was no single country which had the capacity to run a supercomputer. It was rather special at that time, and we didn't. They didn't have the science and the knowledge to do the numerical weather predictions. So, as a result of a cost action, which was one of these European instruments, they said, let's try to build this center in Reading. And because we were never meant to be at the foreground of these activities, it was always the member states who, in fact, present our results. So when you see things from day 3 to day 14, it's often comes from us, but we're never meant really to run into the picture. And that's also one of the reasons why our name is so very difficult to pronounce. European Center for Medium Range Weather Forecast, and it really says what it means. So European Center because the countries are European, and medium range because initially we were meant to do forecast at medium range. Of course, based on this capacity at the time, which was focused on numerical weather predictions and on supercomputing, because you both need to go hand in hand to advance, and it was both on operations and science. We start to get a very strong reputation, and in the end, ECMWF became the world leader if it comes to medium range weather forecasts. And still today, we are one of the best of, in fact, the best, both in the northern and the southern hemisphere, if it comes to predictions from day 3 to day 7, especially. Of course, we have some of our member states, like UK Met Office is also quite strong. We have NOAA in US, who's very strong. But they always look at us if it comes to medium range weather forecast, especially in extreme events. So for hurricanes, for floods, for these type of things. And in America, they always refer us to the European model. So they always look at us together with their own model. It's still forecasting. Forecasting comes with uncertainty. So it's normal that people look at different models and different outputs to do the assessment, especially if you need to link it with certain civil protection measures and things like this. Now, based on this capacity, we have grown. As illustrated in my next slide, and this is what I already mentioned. So ECMWF's role is to address the critical and most difficult research problems in medium range numerical weather prediction that no one country could tackle on its own. And we still take pride of this, that it's really a collaboration with, in the first place, the meteorological services. In the meantime, we have also grown. So it's not only Reading, we also are supercomputer, which is now in Bologna, in Italy, and we have also an office in Bonn. It's not so that Bonn is the Copernicus office. We also have some colleagues focused on Copernicus in Reading, and we have some scientists and some forecasters based in Bonn. So to avoid that it becomes like split, and we really want this integration, because in the end that's the strength. The strength is that Copernicus Destination Earth is integrated with our operational activities and our research activities. And what you see more and more now with how we evolve, and in fact it was already embedded in our convention, is that we really look at the Earth as a system, because it's the only way to advance further on weather forecasts, but it's also a better approach to look into the impacts. And that's the strength of what we're doing. So it's not only about looking into the atmosphere, it's also looking into the oceans, land, all the interactions which come to play a role. And it's a real strength of what we're doing. And we are, on one side, we are advancing on the physical parameters. On the other side, we're also looking into new technologies to advance on this. To be able to do this Earth system approach, of course, we need observations. And on purpose, I included this slide for you because in a way, we are a client. We are a user ourselves of Earth observation satellites. We are a user of all the capabilities which are out there. And to give an impression, on a daily basis, we assimilate about 800 million observations, and most of them come from satellites. So we are a huge user of satellite information. Most of it comes from our brother and sister organizations, EUMETSAT and ESA, but we're also looking into assimilating more and more information from commercial sources, because they're also valuable. Of course, the fact that it comes with a price is an element, but the more observations we have, the better the forecast. It's because to predict the future, in fact, you need to start from now, and that's something essential. Of course, we also accumulate or assimilate in situ observations. So in situ observations are observed from the Earth, not only on the Earth, but from the Earth, which also includes aircrafts, radars, ships, and buoys. So that's a huge complexity, and it's an enormous activity which we incorporate as such. Every 10 years we have a strategy, and you can find it on our website. You see the link there. And I included the slides because I don't have too much time to go into the details, but it includes the key components on our building blocks. On one side is a science, as you mentioned, Jeff. Science is one of the pillars of ECMWF, and maybe we can see it as even our main success. So we always succeed to combine scientific developments with operations, with a pure engineering, with the data handling. And by combining these two, we were able to advance. It's often in slow pace, often in a silent way, but we were able to advance more and more together with our member states. So in our strategy, of course, we want to stay the world leader in weather and earth system science. That's our first goal, and it's very important that we keep this role because it's also the role in which we have globally, and it puts Europe into the picture. But we also have to embrace cutting-edge technologies and computational science for numerical weather prediction. And here I'm thinking about machine learning and artificial intelligence, and there are several companies which really drive this agenda and which are very strong. And we also look into this and we talk to them. So it's something which we advance as well. Some of these activities we have been doing without calling them machine learning because it was as a default activity on how we assimilated and post-process some of the data. Others are quite innovative and new also to us, and we now have a very nice team of machine learning experts to work on this. And the second pillar is impact. Of course, we do it for a purpose. In the first place, we need to serve our member states. So the member states are those who put money on the table to implement this. And we need to provide better services. We need to provide better access. We need to make sure that what we produce fits their needs. This comes also with, as I indicated, efficient and easy access to our products. So it's an element on which we evolve more and more. And then last but not least, the organization and people. Of course, if we want to stay on top of our activities, we need to keep on being able to attract the best people out there. Being based now in Reading, in Bonn, and in Bologna helps us to diversify a little bit better. Also with the nice teleworking policies helps, and of course our conditions as an international organization also help. But it remains a difficulty, especially if you focus on those profiles which are more in IT or machine learning, because you have lots of companies who are doing this as well. But have a look into the strategy if you want more information. I think it's interesting for those people who want to know more about what we're doing on Earth system science and numerical weather predictions. My next slide is more focused on what we then can provide for other users. So I indicated that we are a user of Earth observation data. On the other side, we also provide a lot of data. which can be used by Earth observation companies, by the industry in Europe, which you then can combine with other information and data to derive value-added products. You know, Copernicus, it's open and free, so that's open and free, but ECMWF's data is not per se open and free. This is changing now. So we progress to an open data policy. So, and we provide more and more data under an open license. And we also gradually reducing the costs for access to this closed data. And the aim is that by the year 26, so in a couple of years' time already, we have a fully open catalog with a significant portion of freely available data. So we have colleagues working on this to do this transition. So it comes now with all these complexities of how do you do this licensing, how do you make sure that you accommodate for this. But this information is there. All real-time data, including open data, can be delivered in bespoke packages and with services. And for the services, we will still charge. But for those companies who have the competences, which have the knowledge inside, they should be able to do it themselves. For the others who say, well, we want a bespoke solution, for them we say we will charge. And then until then, we have a set of open data, and I included the link there. So it's increasing every year. There are new things which are added to this list. And it's something really exciting, I think, and needed in Europe to make sure that everyone can benefit from what we're providing. Last but not least is a FAIR principle, which you may all know: findable, accessible, interoperable, and usable. It's something which we embed in our data, in the design of our APIs, and how to download data. It's also about the development of open source Python libraries to process and visualize the data. And then we also have Jupyter notebooks, which are a way to illustrate the added value, but also can be used as training resources. So I think it's important because it's, I assume that most people listening are from the private sector, and may be interested to know that we really do an effort to go to this open data approach, although it takes some time. And so we talk about 26 to have everything open and free. Besides this, based on this, we run Destination Earth, and I still have 2 slides to focus on this. So Destination Earth aims to create additional twin of the Earth that will make it possible to interactively explore various national processes and human activities. So it's much more than just Earth observation. It will also, in the end, at some time, go into socio-economic assessments. But for now, we focus on 2 digital twins, and that's run by us. One on extremes and one on climate adaptation. So we do this in partnership with ESA and EUMETSAT. So it's a partnership, and it's a pure infrastructure development at this stage. It will grow, it will evolve, but you really have to see it as something with a lower TRL, which takes some time to develop over time. But the ambitions are there. And the nice thing is you have this representation of the Earth from the moon. One is a picture taken from the moon. The other one is simply what we do using our machine. So it's a pure digital version. Then this was already presented, but I would like to approach this from a different angle. So we are running CEMS and C3S on behalf of DGDF, so the European Commission, and on behalf of the GRC, we also the computing center for the Emergency Management Service. But since Copernicus 2, and for those who know the space regulation quite well, there's a higher emphasis on user uptake. So it's in the first phase, it was really building the building blocks of Copernicus. now it's about making sure that user uptake is there. We have a new kid on the block, which is ESPA. ESPA is responsible for this user uptake, but they mainly focus on the downstream sector. What we focus on are still what's called the Copernicus core users. And these are the EU institutions. These are the member states, and we also include the United Nations, especially with the link in bond with the UNFCCC, for example. And to do this, we have a certain set of programs. So we have a national evaluation program. We have thematic hubs where we focus on specific elements on health, energy, and then we have the strong engagements with the EU and UN. The reason why I'm mentioning it here in front of the private sector is also because, in fact, you can't fully detach both. So if you really want to serve member states, if you really want to serve the United Nations or European Commission, you have to do it hands in hand with domain specialists, with SMEs, with big companies, with all those who are there, the private sector in Europe, which makes Europe so rich, to do this hand in hand. And this is why last year we also said, well, let's sign an agreement with Earth, because if we would go to one company, the other company would say, well, what about us? So our way of thinking was, with Earth, we have a network which has the mandate to speak on behalf of the private sector or the Earth observation industry in Europe. And then based on this, we can see how we can increase the involvement of the private sector. So we will launch a study on this. We hope to increase awareness via what we're doing now, the EOcafe. But we also try to support the development of new commercial solutions. And this brings me also in a way to what Athena is doing with the Code for Earth. We try we have an initiative at ECMWF to invite entities, to invite the bright minds in Europe to come up with ideas for some challenges which we have. But I leave the explanation to Athena, and I will stop sharing here. I think we will take questions at the end, or how do you want to?
Yeah, we'll take questions after Athena's explained about the code for Earth. And just a reminder to everybody that if you have questions, just drop them down into the chat so that we can sort of see what's coming. Thanks Dana. Thanks for promoting the agreement, the arrangement between ECMW and ECMWF and ERSC. It's great that we can work together and hope to increase the the private sector engagement and the contribution overall to the work that you're doing and the work that can be sort of promoted elsewhere in the world. Athena, this is a special initiative that ECMWF, it's not the first time, as Athena will tell us, but it's an initiative which should be interesting for individuals and companies. And without rambling on more, I'll let Athena explain what it's all about. Athena.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. Yeah, as I mentioned before, I started working in December for ECMWF, and I'm managing this key innovation activity, Code for Earth, with my colleague Esperanza Quartero. So the initiative, or it's a program actually, and it's the 6th year we are running it, is called Code for Earth and is co-financed by ECMWF, Destination Earth, Copernicus, and supported by Cloud Infrastructure Vikeo and the European Weather Cloud. And some of you might have heard of Code for Earth in a different name. It was ESOC, the ECMWF Summer of Weather Code. And yeah, we changed recently the name, which implies a lot of changes. You know, we are in a transition phase at the moment, so we have a new logo to pay tribute also to the broader scope. It's not only about weather and climate, but it goes broad. It's generally about Earth Science. So the initiative Code for Earth engages external talents or with ECMWF mentors and board experts in earth science, like climate change, atmospheric information, but also in computer science. Just think about AI, artificial intelligence, or machine learning, which is a very, very hot topic since a few years. And I think especially our domain is a very nice field also to apply AI and machine learning. Then, of course, Code for Earth is also looking into applied data science, generally software development, or in the context of Destination Earth, of course, digital twins, as Stan explained. Yeah, as you said, and I mentioned it, the program was established in 2018. So we have already 5 successful editions that produced a lot of open source software developments. In these, the projects, they touched on content or, information that came from the Copernicus Climate Data Store, or for this Copernicus Climate Data Store, a virtual assistant was developed. Maybe some of you have been working with the Climate Store and came across this little duck. So that was a result from Code for Earth. But then there was also a Python library developed for bias correction. And you see the challenges are as diverse as ECMWF is. So you can find all these previous challenges on the website. And just as a small hint, as I said, we are in the transition phase from the old name ESOC to Code for Earth. So there are still some changes. So these Code for Earth is also there, to bring communities together. So in this sense, it's also driving earth science innovation. And Stein talked about the ECMWF strategy on these various pillars, and they are also kind of reflected in Code for Earth. So we focus on science and technology, but an important aspect is the collaboration. So we have people, and then the impact, and impact is the results, also, but also the, how can the developments made open source and thus be available for the broader community. So in other words, we could say that Code for Earth is facilitating partnerships and grow networks, which is a key aspect in today's environment. What else? Yeah, so for whom is this activity? And let me move to the next slide. So, I mentioned that external talents can participate, and but it's all, talents can be a lot of different people. So it can be students, but it can be also startups that have an interest to use or analyze or test ECMWF data. So we are not focused, we are not targeting a special group like students or startups, but it's really those people who want to get engaged and have an insight in how ECMWF is working. For them, Code for Earth is really a good means to work with the center. So the challenges are published on the open source hosting service GitHub, and I assume most of you know GitHub. So everything is transparent, and GitHub is a great tool to communicate with interested people who have an interest in submitting something. We use that, and again, if you're interested in see how the previous editions went, everything is on GitHub. It's very transparent. You can look into the various challenges from the last years. Once we have collected the internal challenges, and this is currently my task at the moment, I still have a week to go. We select you know, we will issue a call for participation, and I have a timeline on that. And then external talents, they can submit their proposals, and we select up to 10 projects that are related to ECMWF, Copernicus, and DestinE activities. And you see the initiative code for Earth is really taking the activities from the center and put it in, you know, to identify where we can drive innovation. So then once once we have selected the teams, you know, in summer there's a coding phase, and we will have a final event in September. Here at the bottom right, you can see some information where you value, of course, our website. Then we are on GitHub, and we still need to adjust all the social media profiles. Most of them are already in as Code for Earth, but you don't be surprised if some of them are still with the old name ESOC. So at one side, you know, it's a perfect timing because I can promote Code for Earth. It is a couple of weeks early, but still, you know, I would say go on Twitter, follow us on Twitter, and so you can, and then we can keep you updated on the call for participation. I have some slides on the timeline, just to iterate again. So at the moment, I said I'm collecting internally the challenges, and it's very interesting to see the mentoring teams of my colleagues, the discussions that are going on. And end of February, there will be the call for participation, and the deadline for submission is mid-April, 7th of April. And between end of February and April, you can ask questions to the mentors. You can submit your challenges and or your proposed solutions for the challenges. You can also talk with the mentors. You can ask questions to get an idea what is really wanted. And then we will select the proposals following some selection criteria, like, you know, is it feasible in a 4-month time frame? What about the comprehensibility? How innovative is the approach? And also aspects like transferability and easy to maintain are important. You know, we don't want to have one-off activities, but really more sustainable ones where we can rely on also in future. Then there's the big summer coding phase. It starts in May and ends in August. And for 4 months, the selected teams will work with the mentors together to work on the solutions for the challenges and have ready projects at the end of this coding phase. And then in September, as Stein and also Geoff pointed out, we have 3 sites with ECMWF. And the final day where we broadcast and present all the solutions and the projects, that will take place in September in Bologna. The date is not fixed yet. We're working on that, but we will announce that as soon as possible. So that is it from my side at the moment. You know, yeah.
Yeah, are those all physical presentations, Atina, or will they be remote as well? Or
yeah. So yeah,
decided?
During the coding phase, we will have a midterm presentation that will be online to keep the broader community aware of what is happening, where the project stands. But the final day, that will be an in-person day with a hybrid option. That's the new normal. And again, you know, I see a lot of familiar faces or names as participants. I would highly encourage you to have a look at the challenges once they are published. And I'm sure there is in something for everyone of you. Maybe you have a team dealing with data or data handling, data visualization, then why not send them to the challenge, to participate to the challenge and submit a proposal.
Okay.
That's
Do you perhaps have one or two examples from the previous challenges to help people sort of focus a little bit on precisely what you're likely to ask for?
I do have, and that may sound a little bit scripted, so I thank for your question. So yeah, I have a couple of success stories from the previous editions, and here you can see still the old name. I mentioned already the climate data store virtual assistant, and you see the little duck here. So if you have worked with the climate data store, you probably have come across this duck. That's actually a virtual assistant helping you find the data you're looking for. Another success story is Easy Point Calibrate, and that is, the idea was to develop and design a dynamic and user-friendly environment for post-processing model parameters. So again, as I mentioned before, if you're interested to learn more about these success stories, you can go on the ECM Code for Earth website, and you will find all the previous editions with a description, with the description of the solutions and a short video. A third success story, just to also show the variety, is Alfred. So it's compressing atmospheric data into its real information content. So the team, together with the mentors, they developed an innovative and efficient compression method. Yeah, an important aspect if you think about meteorological data, and that has also been published in Nature Computational Science. And I have, I think, the last one, yes. And I mentioned that before. This was a project that was looking at a Python library for bias correction, and again, it provides a flexible and user-friendly toolkit for the bias correction of climate data and climate models and association evaluations.
Okay, and one of those examples showed a publication that came out of the result as well. So I guess there are different ways in which this can be promoted, and different ways in which individuals participating or companies participating can benefit from the work.
Yeah, so that's true, and the entire the entire phase will be accompanied by us through social media. So we will tweet about it, write about it, publish where we are, where we stand. So there is a lot of coverage and promotion. So if you ask what is in for me, there are different aspects. So it's a great opportunity to work with ECMWF staff and get an insight how the center is working, how we do research, what requirements we have. It's a lot about visibility, and yeah, it's also to show where do you stand, what cutting edge developments do you have in-house. So it's really, if you participate, I think it's a win-win-win situation for everyone. Good
opportunity to build a relationship with ECMWF. Yeah. Okay. We had one question in the chat, but it was about access to data, and I think it's been answered. But if there's anything further on that, then happy to take a question on it. But for the moment, I'm assuming that it's dealt with. So again, if you have further questions, then please come forward. You can raise your hand as well, but sometimes it's not so easy to pick up when hands are raised. So it's good to write it in the chat. It's not easy to follow what's happening in the chat either, but never mind, we manage. Okay, thanks very much, Atina. Sten, you mentioned on one of your slides, I think the last slide, no, the last but one slide, you mentioned thematic hubs, which is something we've become aware of quite recently. It seems to have popped up. We're going to try and sort of look at that in a future EOcafe, but maybe you could just say a few words from an ECMWF perspective of what this means.
Yeah, so if you look at Copernicus, especially in the past, you had the space component, you had the in situ component, you had the service component. This was traditional way of presenting Copernicus. But if you're a user, you don't want to, you're maybe less interested in this way of thinking, and maybe it's more about I'm a user active in the energy sector, and I would like to have solutions which may come from Sentinel data and land service and maybe climate services. From that perspective, you want an entity or a voice on the other side who is able to translate this into an overview of what can be provided. That's why the Commission, DG came up with the idea, and it was Bernard Panty at the time who invented it. Let's ask the entrusted entities to take up this role and to see how the users from that perspective can be served. I don't think it will be the expert users. The expert users, they find their way. They know where to look at. They know the Sentinel Hub. They know all the ins and outs, and they see it as a business as such sometimes, even to have this in-depth knowledge. But for other users, it could be very interesting to have this uniform approach on specific sectors. So at the moment, the Commission launched a pilot, and the pilot includes 4 hubs. One on coastal areas, one on the Arctic, and these are managed by Mercator, one on health, and one on energy. And we will now develop this over the course of the year. In June, we will present one on health, and then later on the one on energy, and Mercator is doing something similar. So that's the initiative. It also needs to be coupled to another initiative by DGDF and the GRC, which is the Knowledge Center on Earth Observation. And maybe you also heard about this, Mark.
Yeah, we've had Mark on talking about it here.
Yeah, so this is connected because this capacity, this Knowledge Center on Earth Observation, they will act as a voice between the policy DGs and those who provide the services, and they will say, look, these are the elements in which domains Earth observation could provide an added value. And then you have the layer of the Copernicus thematic hubs, who then provide this connection to the user communities. It's a pilot, so that's important, and you have to bear with us to see how it works. I think it's a good initiative, and especially for those sectors in which the user community is not that well organized yet. So for example, for health, I think it would be very useful to have something like this.
No, it's something that's become established that I've only become aware of in the last couple of weeks. We talked about it the other day. I think it's an interesting topic, particularly for people on the call and in the sector. I don't know if there are any further links that we can develop. I'm thinking of Expandio with its very much a user focus of Expandio, which is our goal. So that might be interesting to explore. But we'll certainly try to have a session in EOcafe looking at the thematic hubs, and either bring in yourself and Mercator and EA and others who are active, or bring in Mark or someone from the JRC concerned with the KCO, which I think is at the heart of it. Okay, thanks for that.
Bernd has a question on this, and
yeah,
the reason why you don't find anything is exactly because it's a pilot. So we have a draft web page, but it's all under development. So give it some time to develop it further. It will be, I think, in June we should be mature enough to come out with some initial elements.
Just right for Expandio. I don't know, Bernd, if you want to develop the question any further. You're very welcome to if you want to come in.
Hi there. Thanks, Job, for inviting me in. So yeah, when Stijn, you talked about the various specialist and sectoral hub activities, and some currently working on health issues, I was particularly wondering if there's already some information out there or how best to stay in the loop on that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's what I said. Let's let the cook first collect ingredients and draft the recipe, and then we are happy to serve the soup to you, and then you can make comments. So it's and that will be very important. So that user communities give comments and share their thoughts. We have an advisory board consisting of people from the institutions and from more like the broader community to give advice on this. But then once we have something operational which can be shown, of course we would like to hear your views on whether it fits your needs and how we should improve it.
Okay, that's great to know. Looking forward to seeing it in the future. Thanks.
We'll do what we can to help in promoting and publishing that and understanding it. So at the moment it's a new idea. Okay, no further questions coming up as yet. You've explained about the use of satellite data in ECMWF's activities, and you have mentioned that you're using commercial data. It was something I wanted to explore a little bit further. What sort of commercial data are you using? How does it figure in ECMWF activities?
It's an activity which we are exploring to use more. So at the moment it's mainly EUMETSAT and ESA. So these are the most important ones. And then you have also the other contributing missions which are driven by other official space agencies. But for example, we are in discussion with Spire to see if we can embed more of their data, and we are in discussion with other private companies to see what they provide could be of use and can be integrated in one way or another. It comes, of course, with additional legal and governmental requirements.
Yeah.
But it's something which on which we agree that we can't ignore. So it's not only the space agencies which have the observational data. It's also the private sector which has a wealth of information and data, well, mainly data. We derive the information from it. Which should be embedded, and we have to find ways and instruments to make it happen. Yeah.
I mean, increasingly, commercial data is becoming more diverse. People are becoming more interested, and I think I hope that there will be a lot more opportunities. Obviously, there's the base of public missions, but and we've organized in the past, and I'm sure we'd be happy to organize in the future. I'm sure Emmanuel will pick it up to organize exchanges around that subject. Okay, so Atina, just coming back to clarify something. I think you talked about having 10 challenges, and you talked about having a 5,000 stipend for those accepted. That's for each challenge, I believe. It's not just a one-off prize at the end. So each of the 10 challenges accepted qualifies.
Yeah. So we will, as I mentioned, I'm collecting currently the internal challenges, and once we have the call for participation, the then selected proposals, they get the stipend, each of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not if if you have a group of people answering one challenge, it's the group who gets the 5,000, not each.
Yeah, otherwise you'll get very large teams entering. Yeah.
And that makes it difficult to handle the money.
You sure? The requirement in effect is for teams to respond to the challenges with a proposal. They have 6 weeks, as I read it, to respond. You've set yourself the challenge to evaluate those proposals in 2 weeks over the Easter period. So that's good luck with that.
We have a timeline, but we're flexible. It doesn't. You have to be flexible nowadays. I joined in December to the group, and this is what I heard, what worked in the past. So we try it out. But it's not. I have not written it in stone, so it's
Oh, but is it,
more or less this is the schedule, yes.
but the process is similar to the previous challenges.
Yeah, at the moment the process is similar to previous challenges. We are expanding a little bit topic-wise. I said Destination Earth was included, and the scope for future editions is to go even broader. But that is something to talk about in future. Yeah,
Okay.
I would say stay tuned.
Good. I mean, certainly this is something new for me. Others may be more aware of it, but it was completely new for me, this challenge. So I think it's very interesting, and we'll see how it can develop. And good, very good luck with it. And,
thank you very much. And you will see messages from me, and I will use social media explicitly.
We'll watch the social media, and maybe we have something here in the future to talk about the results.
Yeah,
that could also
absolutely.
be a possibility. Okay, good. We've just gone past 5 o'clock, so I'll draw this to a close. So thanks to everyone. Thanks to Stijn and Athena for joining. The next EOcafe in 2 weeks' time, we're looking at this subject of data spaces that comes up quite a lot now. So we're going to dig in there and understand what is a data space and what they mean for our community. So that will be on the 23rd of February, and we'll be joined with Juri Robrecht from DG Environment. So that should be another completely different subject for us to get into and discuss. The reminder on screen for all the companies who are on the call, please respond to the industrial survey. It's a very important survey for the sector. It's hard getting the responses, so please respond. And it really is important for the institutions as well as for the companies to understand what's going on. But the institutions look very closely at the results in order to dictate some of their policy decisions. So that's that finally. So as a final thing, Stijn, Athena, thank you very much. I give you the last word if you want to say something. Final announcements or final anything related to the work.
No, in the first place, I would like to thank ERSC for the opportunity to make promotion on the Code for Earth, and I hope some people will use this as an inspiration to really go into it, look into the opportunity and make a proposal. And for me, what's important also to know is you can contact us. So you have our names. It's very easy to find our email addresses. So it's at ECMWF.int in the end. I hope that a lot of people finds it inspiring to work with us on Code for Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, my words. Thanks a lot, Geoff, and also Natasha and Erskine for having us today. It was a great opportunity. Also very timely. So it's really perfect, and as I saw familiar names, and I know people are, there is the capacity and the knowledge and the expertise to support and contribute to Code for Earth. So I really look forward to hear from a lot of teams.
Yeah, and we look forward to hearing back from you on the results, and we'll stay in touch. Anybody who has problems with the email addresses, I'm sure we can help. I think everyone should manage that. Okay, so we'll close the EOcafe at this point. Anyone who wishes just to hang around and open up their microphone and saying something is very welcome to. In the meantime, to everyone, see you at the next EOcafe, and stay healthy. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.